Tampa Bay Spirits presents Haunted Campfire Tales Live. Welcome. Gather around the fire. Get comfortable, but not too comfortable. The true ghost tales are about to unfold.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan.
I'm Les.
I'm Beth.
Oh, Jesse, your sound's off.
I do it every time. I'm Jess.
I'm Joy. I'm Robin.
We're the Tampa Bay Spirits, or part of them anyway.
And Facebook isn't working. We'll try and work it because people are trying to get on. Gotta love Facebook.
Yeah.
We have to remove it and put it back on, and then they'll be able to get in. So frustrating. Please bear with us, everybody.
Technical difficulties.
Mhm. Okay, we're adding it on.
We're back on Facebook.
Paul Hollis says, "Evening, everyone." Hi, Paul.
Hey.
Well,
How are you? We're going to give maybe a few minutes, Paul, to see if anybody's trying to get on Facebook. And then we'll start. Because we don't have to repeat all this stuff all over again. What, Jess?
I was going to ask if anyone has had any fun paranormal experiences since we last gathered.
I have.
Oh.
We think. We are not sure. New school. We have opening a school, and we're working every day. We go down and work on it, painting and getting it ready. And one day I went and opened it myself, turned on the air conditioner in the hallway, went in, turned on some of the classroom lights, came back to the hallway, and there was a door wide open.
Oh.
That's not the first time that's happened. Also, we'll leave, everything is closed and locked, and the next morning we'll come back in and the doors are open.
Do you think your priest followed you?
Maybe, but he usually did really nice things, not try to, but this is just opening doors.
Well, I wonder.
Mischievous a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe.
that is. Joe Conjul says,
Hi,
"Good
Joe.
evening, everybody." Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Well, that's crazy. So, one of the things that we're talking about haunted objects tonight. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Paul Hollis says, "Is this a school to teach what you all do to check out ghosts?"
Ooh, big booming.
Yeah, it's a preschool.
That's what Beth and Les do for a living. They run a preschool. Marjorie Daring said, "Hi all, I might have to cut and run soon. Big booming thunderstorm rolling in." They might be rolling in here too, so yeah. Hold on
Everybody.
to your hats and glasses, everybody.
If they lose us, we'll be back at the end of next month.
But some of the things that I looked up, I feel like actually just one of them. Oh, Joe Conchel said, "It could be. I get an education every show." I think one of the dolls, we're talking about haunted dolls tonight. It was supposed to be haunted objects, but
The dolls objected.
I know I could only find dolls. So, and actually, Les and Beth have an up close and personal one to talk about. But one of the dolls that I'm going to talk about is I feel like the doll isn't haunted. I think that it's probably, the person. Oh, I hear thunder. Whose thunder is it?
We're thundering.
Oh,
It's blustery out there.
It sounded like Florida thunder.
Yeah.
It is.
Haunted dolls are creepy. They are
Yeah.
so creepy.
Creepy.
So actually, okay, where is it? That's not it. Okay. I jumped off of this page. Beth and Les are going to talk about this lovely doll. I want y'all to see it first before they talk.
Brace yourself.
Yes, Robert. This is Robert the doll, and he lives in a museum in Key West, Florida right now. And we went to visit him one time. I was excited to learn about Robert because I heard about him for many years, and we didn't go to Key West for that reason, but it was fun to go see him. And he belonged to a little boy named Robert Otto, and he named the doll after himself. Well, every time this little boy was in trouble as growing up as a child, he would always blame the doll. No, Robert the doll did that. Robert the doll did that. He kept the doll all his life. And as an adult, he grew up and became a pretty famous artist, Robert Otto. And he married, and his wife never cared for the doll. She always felt like the doll was watching her and judging her. I don't know what she was doing. It was judging her. But she never cared for it, but it remained with him all his life. And when he died, it went to another person, and I don't know a whole lot about that story. But then it ended. People would say they could see the doll staring at them. It would sit at the window, like in an attic window, and it would always stare at them, and it creeped them out. And they could swear they would see Robert looking at them and moving. And so he really got quite the reputation at that point. But then they said any kind of misfortune would happen. The wife would blame anything that went bad in the house on Robert the doll. And since Robert Otto's death, they put him in this museum in Key West where you can go visit him. I wouldn't suggest it. And they said he does pretty good unless you disrespect him. And one of the ways you can disrespect him is by taking his photo without permission. So, of course, we go on a tour, a ghost tour that goes to this museum. And, if you go to a ghost tour, there's always that one guy. There's always that one guy that challenges every story. And he decided he was going to be disrespectful. He was going to take Robert's photo.
That guy?
Are any of you any idea who that guy might be?
It may or may not be less.
It was not less. I would have heard him at that point. But
There's no way to know.
he was taking his picture and daring him, and people in the group were getting a little upset about it, and the docent was getting very upset about it and wanted him to stop. Anyhow, everybody was fine. Get onto the bus to go finish our tour, and the bus wouldn't start. And so, okay, no big deal. The tour company called, had another bus come out. We all unloaded from one bus, got into the other bus, just pulled up. And once we were loaded, that bus would not start. It took about an hour. And we finally got onto the original bus, and it started, and we left. I was so happy that it left because everyone was like, "This is your fault. You were disrespectful to Robert, and now you have to write him a letter." That's the other thing that if you visit him, you'll see apology letters posted all around him
Oh,
from
wow.
people who have tempted fate and had problems, and then they send an apology letter to hopefully that they won't have any more problems. Excuse me. The next day, we got up, decided it would be really fun to rent scooters to drive around town.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. I was hit by a truck.
Oh my gosh.
A pickup truck hit me. I was fine, except very scratched up. Excuse me.
Wow.
But yeah, banged up the scooter, cost us $1,000, and
A lot of fun.
it was a lot of fun. And then I was miserable because I was so sore from road rash and everything else for the rest of the
Ooh.
Who knows? Was this the curse of Robert? But it is not a doll I would go visit again.
When you were there, what did you say?
I said, now we tell the story that she was riding her Harley and got hit by a semi.
Oh, there you go. That's more
That's a better
impressive.
story.
It's a lot better story.
What I wanted to know, Beth, is when you were in the room with Robert the doll, did you pick up anything psychically?
I did not, but I was extremely nauseous.
Oh,
and
well,
I
then you
did not know until afterwards that is definitely something that they talk about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joe wants to know, how does Robert actually give permission?
That's a great question.
Thumbs up.
It is a good question.
I think the idea is just that you are supposed to ask.
To be respectful.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't answer, how do you know?
I think the idea is
Does
just
he
like,
act?
I'm going to take your picture if that's okay, and then you just take the picture, but like you're not waiting for a response. It's more like as long as you ask, he's fine with it, supposedly.
And when nothing happens to you, you know.
Yeah. I think it's really unfair though that you were just with someone
Yeah,
who you don't know if that was related. It feels really unfair that like you didn't do anything. You two didn't do anything, like it was some
Right.
other guy, and it seems like it affected everybody.
Yeah. Well, we went to Key West and we were like, nope, not going there. Mm-mm.
I think Beth
really
and
bad.
Les are frozen, I think.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't know if we lost them.
it's probably Robert.
it's
Yeah.
probably talking
Yeah.
about the doll.
We're talking about him behind his back.
Or it could be the thunderstorm that we heard rolling in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thunderstorm.
they'll be back. We can't get rid of them
They
that
will.
easy.
No.
So I also looked up a bunch of haunted stuff, and one of the ones that I looked up that I wanted to talk about first was, well, actually, maybe I'll talk about this one first. Okay, here we go. So this is a ride that you can take in Mexico. It's called the Floating Islands of Huachimico. And if you've ever been to Disney World, they have a cute little thing in Epcot where you can get on a little boat like that and you ride around and see all these pretty flowers on the island. And you also see a little carousel, which they do have, and fireworks and stuff. Joe Conja wants to know, if you take the picture without permission, will the curse follow you home, or is it just in Florida? It follows you home. Yep. It follows you home. So when I lived in Mexico, I went on those rides. Now, where did I put those? Here we go. Nope.
Nope. Nope. Yep.
Okay, this has a different name now since they changed it. So I actually went on that real ride around the floating islands of Huachimico, which
They lost their power.
Yeah.
Les did, and Beth.
Oh.
So as soon as they get their Wi-Fi, everything's rebooting in the house.
So, in actually, these floating islands are man-made islands. They were made in the middle of a lake by the pre-Aztec, and the Aztecs used them as agricultural islands, and so that's what they use them for. And so some of them do have some really pretty. I've got to find my paperwork now. Some of them do have some really pretty flowers on them and stuff like that. But then you have this island.
Ah,
That's
Mhm.
called
part of it.
Doll Island. Here's another view.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Wait a minute, we've got a comment. Oh, Beth said that they're watching from the phone. Okay. Anyway, so I took that ride, and we got to that lovely island, and I was just like, oh. And actually, everyone on the boat, both Spanish speaking and English speaking, all went, ooh, because it's really creepy. I did not see anything happen. I know that Rob and Jess and I watched a Ghost Hunters where they did that show from there. And I was like, I was there. I went there. I was there. And we literally saw the dolls on that island during the taping of that show move their heads like this. I mean, it is creepy, but I never saw that. So this is just south of Mexico City. It's called the Isla de las Muñecas, or the Doll Island. The land's original caretaker, Don Julian Santana Barrera, allegedly found the body of a drowned girl and one of her dolls floating near that particular island. He hung the doll on a tree, which, like Les talked about earlier, we went to a house where they had all dolls hanging from the roof ceiling. But I don't understand why people think, oh, here's a good thing to memorialize someone. Hang the doll from a tree as a sign of respect. But after being haunted by her spirit, began hanging more and more dolls around the island in an effort to appease her restless ghost. After 50 years of obsessively collecting his dolls, Barrera died of drowning in 2001, apparently in the exact same spot where he found the drowned body of the girl.
That's
That-
creepy.
It's so creepy. It's so creepy. I do think that Joe said that looks like some kind of voodoo tree.
There'd be a little of that mixed in. You never know.
Yeah, I don't. It's let's see what. Here we go. Yeah, there's little. I don't think you can see in this picture very well, but there's like little huts on the island, and yeah, it's just.
That's a no for me.
No.
I know.
Some of them are kind of cute.
Not the slightest curiosity about going there.
Little hippopotamus or something up there. Look kind of cute.
So if you've ever been to Epcot and you're going around in the little, river there in Mexico, River of Mexico in Epcot, you think, oh, this is so lovely, and they have a carousel in the middle, which they do, and fireworks at night, which they do, and islands full of flowers, which they do, but they don't show that. And that's what I was thinking when I first right. I was like, oh, this is so beautiful and stuff. And then you're like, what the? They need to have a warning. Danger, Will Robinson, because that is really, you go from beautiful flowers to that, and you're like, everybody's trying to get on the other side of the boat. It's like, no. Yeah. So, yes, but I remember watching that particular Ghost Hunters episode and literally seeing dolls' heads move without anybody moving them.
Yeah.
With the eyes, going, and you're like, oh, shucks. No, it's just really bad. Yeah, Robin?
I just have a question before I forget this is about Robert the doll. Is it believed that he was haunted before this kid got him, or do you think it was like because he was always being blamed and all this bad energy was going at the doll? Just out
I
of
think
curiosity.
the theory is that the little boy put some energy into him somehow.
Okay.
But we're not sure.
Okay. Because I mean, did he get it new? I guess do they know if he got it?
new.
Oh, he got it new. Okay.
From Stife. If you know about like Stife teddy
Oh.
bears,
Okay.
it's
Yeah, I
that
know.
maker. You have Stife bears, yeah,
It's a tiger.
yeah, little sailor suit.
Wow.
Yeah, you can see some of the apology letters and cards there in that photo. But he's
Yeah.
behind, and he's in a glass case.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. I thought nothing of it until we had all the bad luck afterwards, and I was like, I'm not sure any longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is really creepy. Ugh.
Yeah.
Do any of you have any other anecdotes or stories or things you heard or happened to you about other haunted things before I bombard you all with these haunted doll stories? There's so many of them.
Well-
One thing I wanted to add before we lost power about Robert is that I also looked up some stories online about him. And funny enough that, I was hit by the truck, but other people were
Hilarious.
talking
Yeah.
about,
Remember when Beth was hit by the truck? That was so funny.
Good times. Good times.
a family story now. So,
Yeah.
but two other people who wrote stories and have them online were talking about riding their bikes and crashing on their bikes. Two separate stories.
No.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. That is creepy.
Well, there is a lot of drinking going on in Key West.
That's true.
There's that.
There is that. We were walking down the street and we got invited to probably 3 different parties with
Yeah.
total strangers.
Yeah.
Hey, we're having cocktails. Come on in. And we're like, we're good.
No thanks.
And bring your doll friend with you.
Okay, so I wanted to tell you about Annabelle.
Okay, we don't have any pictures of Annabelle.
No, but I don't think we need a picture of Annabelle because she's a Raggedy Ann doll. I think we all know
Okay.
what Raggedy Ann dolls look like. Not creepy Raggedy Ann that lives in Robin's attic, but just a regular Raggedy Ann.
Standard.
We got a comment. Joe Conjal. Can there be a haunted object that would give off good luck for whoever has it?
That's a good
I don't-
question.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, there's
I
lots
mean-
of talismans and
Yeah.
good luck objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
a lot
just
of good
because something is,
jewelry. Yeah.
yeah, we should say this too, that what gets the most press is evil hauntings, whereas we can tell you as a team that's not the truth for most hauntings. So, most of them are benign. They're not evil or bad, or some of them can be mischievous, but not, not like a demon or something like that, So, yeah, I think, there's probably lots of them and nobody talks about that, like picture of your grandmother.
We talk about good luck charms all the time that go on game shows and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jess was
It's
gonna
funny
say?
enough, like I just saw, Amy Bruni from Ghost
Yeah.
Hunters and
Kindred spirits.
Kindred Spirits. She just posted about experiences because she has this like 300-year-old house in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And I remember when she moved into it and she was like, no, it's not haunted. There's nothing here, nothing going on. Well, she has since had some experiences there that have changed her mind that she's like, maybe something's going on. But just yesterday, she went into a closet that's off of her dining room. And on the threshold, there was what looked like a coin. And she picked it up and she was looking at it. And she was like, it wasn't there before. Like she had been going in and out of that closet and it wasn't there. So she was like, well, that's weird. But she has a daughter that's like 11. And so she was like, she collects coins like when we go on vacation or go out of the country. So maybe this is one of her coins because she was like, it looked not like a regular coin to her. And then she did a reverse image search and it was a Saint Benedict coin,
Mm-hmm.
like a Catholic
Yeah.
talisman, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on the threshold of her closet. And that saint is like those talismans of that saint are to protect you from evil,
Nice.
is what. But she's like, I don't know where this came from. She's like, we don't have anything like this. It wasn't there before. And anyway, I thought that was a cool story, but she is like, possibly like, she's like, maybe one of my daughter's friends came over and their parent was like, you're going to the creepy ghost lady's house, take this with you. And they dropped, she's like, it's possible it came into our house from like a very like explainable way and not paranormal. But you asking about that made me think about that. I think there are a lot of objects like that people believe can, help give you protection, or even like crystals. I don't know if you necessarily call that haunting it, but if a saint is a person who lived and is now passed, and that talisman is supposed to bring protection from that saint.
And it appeared miraculously in their house. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just meaning the object itself, even like, that is crazy. If who knows how it got there, and that's maybe it did appear for a reason. She then had another experience after that she was like, I can't explain what happened here. But
What was it?
she was going to a hair appointment and her husband was getting ready to go out for the weekend. And he was going like on a Jeep trip with, and he was packing and getting all his stuff ready while she left. And he was like, I'm going to leave by noon. She's like, okay. So she left to go to her hair appointment and she came back like an hour at like 8 something in the morning. She came back at like 9:45, 10. And when she was pulling down their driveway, she saw him standing at the back of his Jeep and he was wearing different clothes than he had been when she left. And she's like, he looked ready to go. Like he was wearing his green kind of khaki pants and a long sleeve black shirt. And he was staring at the back of the Jeep. And like, she's like, that made sense to me because he got a new gas can rig for the back of the Jeep that he was nervous about using because he hadn't used it for an extended period yet. And so he was like standing there looking at it, and she drove down the driveway. She pulled into the spot. She, was looking at him. He turned and looked at her. And then she, like looked down, was like gathering her stuff, got out of the car, and he wasn't there. And so she was like, that like, oh, he must be on the other side of the Jeep. So she started talking to him, walking around the other side of the Jeep, like expecting he was standing on the other side. So she's like, I started talking like, hey, what, I don't know, whatever she was saying, like you would to, your partner you're living with, you'd start talking about, I was thinking about, whatever. And she turned around, went around the Jeep and he wasn't there. She's like, and then at that point she got annoyed because she's like, so I pulled up and you looked at me, you saw me standing here, and she was getting annoyed because she was like, you just, oh, sorry, that's my cat feeder. She don't mind that. So she was like kind of annoyed because she was like, and then you just ran around the side of the house or something, and so she walked around the side of the house and didn't see him there. So she's like, what is happening? She went back and went inside the house, and he was inside the house, still in his shorts and shirt he had been wearing when she left, and still packing his stuff. And she was like, okay,
Wow.
what was that? So, and then she was like, and then I told him, this is going to sound weird, but I think I saw a ghost. And then he said, you didn't see a ghost, and went back to packing because I think he's like a heavily skeptic.
That was like sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but
Okay.
I had told the story that had happened to me where I thought I woke up and thought I saw my husband in the hallway calling me to hurry up, and I chased him because then he was like not speaking but signaling, and then when I chased him down, my husband was in different clothes outside the backyard.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's creepy.
Joy,
It's weird.
did you have a similar experience?
Yeah, I did, but it was, I mean, I just thought maybe it was more of a time slip or something. I don't know.
Maybe that's possible. Yeah, I like that theory. She also mentioned she did go out and check outside to make sure there wasn't, because she was like, okay, there's a person, before she was like, I think I saw a ghost, because she was like, if it's not, then there's a person on our property. And she's like, it's kind of secluded. There shouldn't be anybody there. There's nobody wandering around. Yeah, doppelgangers.
That's what it. Yeah. That's
But
what
she
it's called.
said, she was like, it's possible. Like, she's like, I kind of assumed it was him. I was looking at him. She's like, I did have my glasses on, but she was like, I wasn't like, it was more like, when you see someone, and you're
You
not like
expect to be there. Yeah.
you're not like, or yeah, like if
You wouldn't expect a stranger to be at the back of his Jeep. You would
Right.
expect him to be there.
she was kind of dismissing when people were like, oh, it's a doppelganger. And she was like, no, I'm not saying that. Like, I don't know that they for sure, but it was a man and with similar like dark hair and, looked like something he might wear, but
That doesn't explain where he went to.
Right.
He totally disappeared,
yeah.
right?
No. She just meant it's not like, because a doppelganger is a very specific thing.
Yeah.
She thinks
Right.
it was a spirit. Yeah. But she was saying not a doppel. She didn't. I think she was trying to say like it wasn't necessarily anything
Yeah.
sinister.
Well, doppelganger has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah,
So,
it was.
you don't want to.
I don't know what that is. I mean, I just thought it was when somebody looks like you.
Yeah. Well, it's usually not a very nice spirit that does that.
Oh, so that's a spirit. In other words, I didn't realize it was spirit. I thought
yeah.
it was, you use that
People do
term
reference.
when if like
I saw your doppelganger. Yeah.
People
Yeah.
use that term.
That could be your doppelganger or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it was like a spirit kind of thing.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Robin?
No, I was just saying, sort of said what Jess said, that it was just, people say that when somebody looks like you, oh, I saw your doppelganger, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like known to be like a harbinger of bad luck, usually. So like if you see it like haunts the person that it looks like typically, and then if we're talking about the spiritual or paranormal form, and then like bad things happen, like it's like a bad omen if you see your doppelganger.
And what's the one in Savannah, Beth? Because I always forget the name of that hag. That that's what she is, the hag.
He is. And I can't remember the name either, but yeah.
Okay. But that one's evil.
The boo hag.
Ooh, hag.
Boo hag, that's it.
Boo
And
hag,
she takes on the form of your loved one, so that you think that's who you're with, and you're not. You're with this boo hag.
Creepy.
Very creepy. Yeah. Yep. I love
Terrible.
Savannah though. Boo hags and all.
But going back, the whole reason I brought up the Amy Bruni thing was the
Uh-huh.
coin being
Yeah.
that would be a positive form of, you could
Haunting.
call that a haunting. I mean, what's the difference in my opinion? Like if it's supposed to be right? Does what I'm saying make sense?
Yeah.
Because to me,
As a matter of fact, you saying that reminded me of something that actually happened to Dad and I. It was when we lived in Michigan, and we had that house up on the hill, on the lake. Oh, our address was 1234 Red Pole. I couldn't forget that.
Couldn't
All the
make that
kids
one up
knew where
either.
they lived, and everybody knew. And it was a small town, and everybody knew which house our house was, because they said, "Oh, the big blue house on the hill." And we get 1234 Red Pole. We go, yeah, that's it. But we had bought the house like 6 months before this had happened. And I mean, we had moved in and we were all unpacked and everything. This is 6 months later. And
When we moved in, we'd cleaned everything.
we did. We cleaned everything from top to bottom. And on this particular day, I had just taken all of the cups and saucers and things out of the pantry and cleaned in there again and put everything back in. And I opened the cabinet door the next day, and there was a ruby ring sitting on the shelf.
Right, we're easily
Right.
seen.
Yeah, where anybody would have seen it. You
And
couldn't
those
have
were
gotten.
cabinets we went into and out of all the time.
Yeah.
We used them a lot. We didn't actually climb into the cabinet.
Right.
But
This is before Jesse was born. We had 5 children at that time. And with 5 children, you go in and out of the cabinets where all the plates and things are a lot. And so it was obviously real. And it had diamonds on either side, and it was gold. And it was like 24 karat gold. That I know because it was engraved in there. And I was like, "Oh, where did this come from?" And Rob was like, "I don't know." All right, the story gets weirder. The next day, a woman came to the door
the next day,
and said that her mother had lived there, and she had noticed that we had moved in a while back, and she wondered if we had happened to find a ring because her mother had lost one. And we were like,
What?
what?
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
I said, describe the ring. It was the ring. How about that?
Wow.
Now, that it was a good haunting, because I definitely
Right.
believe that that was a haunting. I believe that a spirit put that there for you.
passed.
Hmm?
Had her mother passed?
No, her mother was still alive.
Hmm.
Yeah. And her mother, had been looking for the ring, and the daughter said, "Oh, people moved into that house. Let me see." But her mother had lived in the house a very short time.
just a very short time. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it was practically
It was a brand new
yeah.
house practically. And then for some reason she had to move out. She was probably ill, probably had to go into healthcare or something
Preparing it for her visit.
like that. Isn't that crazy? That's a crazy story. I know.
Yeah.
Cool story.
But it's real. Happened. But Joe, I think that would be like a good haunting. I think a spirit did put that there, and and it was an object, so you could call that a haunted object. We have I used to have a lot of antiques, and I got rid of most of them. Okay, yeah. You know what, Joe? That's really good. Joe said possibly her dad put it there if he had already passed. I think he already had passed.
Yeah,
That's true.
from what I remember, it was just the mom and
Just the mom was left. Yep.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, Joe. I think you're right. And it probably meant a lot to her too. Well, I know it did because the daughter said it did, you know.
Right.
And we had just found it. If she had come the week before that, we would have said no.
Nope.
And then
Yeah,
we
we
would have
wouldn't have.
had no way to reach her.
Right.
Oh, I probably would have asked for her telephone number or something, but yeah, crazy. Anyway, on with the
That was
show.
before the internet. believe
That
it.
was a long
Back
that
in
was,
the old days.
we know it's the old days because it was before Jesse was born.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right now, you should be going, thanks a lot, Jess. The old days. Yeah, before I was born. Because
She knows how old she is. It's not a secret.
I'm
We told her.
familiar.
We told her.
I
I want to find this Annabelle story because this is about an object that I don't think was. Oh, now I can't find it. Okay, that's because it's on top.
Of course it is.
Okay. Oh, no, you've all heard of the Warrens, right?
Mhm.
They were the people in The Conjuring, right? They went and investigated there, and they were the first people to go to have a judge say whether something was haunted or not. Had to. They,
yeah.
It was really good. All right, so this was the Warrens. Also had a collection of haunted objects, lots of haunted objects that they kept. And if things were haunted and were causing problems in a home, they would take it and they would put it in their collection and they'd put salt around it and keep it under glass and take it out of the people's homes so that the haunting would stop. When they passed away, they both passed away. Their nephew, John Zaffis, took it over. So he has a lot of haunted objects. And I really wish I would have thought to contact him and ask him for some stories. But I forgot to. Okay. So according to the Warrens, Donna, a 28-year-old student nurse from Hartford, Connecticut, was given the doll in 1970. Now remember, this is a Raggedy Ann doll, okay? And she was a student nurse. She reported the doll behaved strangely, but specifics are mixed. Some accounts say it physically lifted its own arms while it was placed in the kitchen table. Other accounts say the doll began to walk and follow them around the apartment, which that would be extremely creepy, and it would be out of my house very quickly. When they came home from work, it would be standing at the door waiting for them with its frozen smile. Okay, that's really bad. That's really bad.
Yeah.
They explained that a psychic medium told the students the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a deceased 6-year-old girl named Annabelle. The student I don't know why a 6-year-old would inhabit a doll, but okay. The student and her roommate tried to accept and nurture the spirit-possessed doll, but it reportedly exhibited malicious and frightening behavior. So not a 6-year-old girl, right? It was at this point that the Warrens say they were first contacted, moving the doll to their museum after pronouncing it demonically possessed. If any of you, really like the Warrens, sorry to say, but they saw a lot of demons. So I just don't think that many things are demonically possessed or have demons that people say they do.
There are a lot of problematic things about the Warrens.
There are many which we won't go into, right? But yes, there are a lot of problems. In 1987, the Warrens gave a lecture at Rutgers University where they delved into the Annabelle case. They claimed the doll had a tendency to give psychic slashes to people she didn't like, drawing blood as if she had used a knife. Allegedly, a priest threw the doll across the room and declared no doll is stronger than God, only to run his car into a tree after leaving the Warren house. No doll or demon is stronger than God, Ed Warren said, but a demon is stronger than a man or a priest. The doll reportedly forced the early retirement of a homicide detective who was stabbed by the doll. The doll remained in a glass box at the Warrens Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut, until the museum's closure over zoning violations. In May 2025, reports online alleged that the Annabelle doll had disappeared, but in reality, it was a bit of viral marketing for a tour presented by Devils on the Run, showcasing the items from the Warrens Occult Museum. The doll has never been missing since Tony Spera, the director of New England Society for Psychic Research. We had taken the doll on a brief tour to several locations, so paranormal enthusiasts could witness the real Annabelle. So that's Annabelle. You can take it or leave it. I would leave it.
So is that what the movie is based on?
Yes, there have been 3 movies based on the doll, but those movies are all the producer's imagination. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I don't
But
think any of the movies portray the doll as Raggedy Ann.
No.
No, they don't. They portray it as like a pretty doll that,
Yeah,
like a
the
French
doll
porcelain doll or something.
Yeah, I saw one of them. I mean, one night there was nothing else on, and then I really was sorry that I sat through the whole thing.
I bet.
But when it's like 3 movies, I might as well see the first one. Nothing else on. Yeah, well, it wasn't worth the time.
Okay, Timo von Sway says, the Annabelle story is extremely spooky. I first heard this story when I watched the movie. I wonder if Friday the 13th series was derived from the Warrens.
Not the Friday the 13th, but the Conjuring series.
Conjuring the Conjuring is a house that they did go to quite a bit to minister deliverance and exorcisms and stuff.
There were sequels to that. Weren't there like 3 sequels?
Yeah, there's a whole series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe the Warrens also investigated the Amityville house.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that they went to court about to prove
Right.
that ghosts exist. Yeah, and that demon possession is possible. Yeah.
And the courts ruled that it did.
Mhm. The courts, I believe, ruled that it did happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the same time where they I don't know if it was everywhere, but they made it so that real estate agents had to disclose if the owners of the home had said that their house was haunted.
In Connecticut, which is where that
Right.
took place.
Some
I think a lot of
states,
states have
some
adopted.
states it does. Some states it doesn't.
Right.
Right. 'Cause I know they do in Pennsylvania, because when I went to look at a house, a woman, the realtor said to me, she had to let me know. I stood there for a second. I said, nothing feels bad, so that's fine by me.
You have to, in some states, you only have to disclose if you're asked. In other states, you have to disclose whether you're asked or not. And in some states, they don't care because they think, ghosts aren't real.
Yeah.
In some places like New Orleans, it's highly sought after to have a haunted
Just a selling
house.
point.
Yeah.
Yes. They put it on the real estate signs. This place
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And besides, then people can buy it and make a living charging people to go investigate.
There you go. Like in Texas.
Like in Texas.
in Texas.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay, what do we got next on
Okay.
our hit list here?
Harold. We've got a picture
Come
of
on,
Harold.
Harold. Where are you, Harold?
Here
you
it
are.
is.
Harold the Haunted Doll.
When you see that doll, I think, that and the little French doll that's got, the glass heads and stuff, those I think are the epitome of
Now,
what
this was featured on Ghost Adventures, so I'm not so sure.
well, so was Annabelle and so was Robert the dog.
Yeah, that's true.
There's another.
Friday the 13th, the series is very similar to how they handled possessed objects. They would hunt down these objects and then place them in a vault. Yeah, that was from Timo. Thank you, Timo.
Thanks, Timo. The Warrens would surround them with salt and then put them in a glass and not in a vault so that they could, everybody could pay money to go to their museum and see them. Okay, so Harold, the person who wrote this, I love this. Harold pretty much tops the list of things that make us say, "Oh hell no." Where's the picture here? Oh yeah, we showed the picture. The doll was listed on eBay in 2003, where the seller alleged that his presence in their home caused the death of their cat, the end of their relationship, chronic migraines, and the seller even heard the disembodied voices of children playing in their basement. Harold was passed around from owner to owner for the next several years. He's been rumored to have caused various deaths and illnesses. His last owner was Anthony Quintana, who claims to have exorcised the doll and has sworn to never speak of Harold again. And then they say, "We don't blame you, Anthony." So we've had a cat die. We've both are married for the second time, so we've had relationships that ended.
Right.
I had chronic migraines.
These
For
things
many
do
years.
happen.
Yes, I'm just saying. I would
Did
not.
Harold visit you sometime?
I'm saying poor Harold.
It,
He's just
You got blamed for everything.
yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
it does feel good to have a reason that's outside yourself. You can go, maybe it's this.
It's not
Right?
me, it's the doll.
Yeah.
Okay, we already talked about the island of the dolls. That's truly creepy. Okay, this is the craziest story. I kind of love it. Yeah, can you show this picture? Okay, that's a painting. First of all, okay, you can take it down. First of all, that's a creepy painting. I mean, really.
What
Is
is
there
going
somebody
on with
stabbing that girl, or what was in there?
No, okay, put it back up again. That's a doll standing
Well,
beside the
Oh,
boy.
is she holding something? I thought someone was stabbing.
She's holding a bottle,
Okay.
you know?
And that's a window pane
Yeah.
coming out to the right from the top of the bottle
They're
there.
standing in front of a window.
If you look
yeah.
at it up there.
Oh yeah. It looks like a.
Okay. And then there's hands in the back on the glass
Yes.
in the background.
Ooh, that
That's
is.
the way the painter painted it. Okay, this is a painting, and his name is. Well, I'll read you what this writer said because I really like the way he wrote it. Bill Stoneham's insanely unsettling 1972 painting was listed on eBay in February of 2000. The sellers claimed that the doll in the picture, so that was the little girl-looking thing, was the doll. Okay, would regularly come to life and force the boy out of the painting. So she would force this little boy out of the painting, and that the two would walk freely through the house at night. The listing drew over 30,000 viewers, many of whom reported feeling uneasy or ill at just the sight of it. Well, yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah.
It's one big doll. Yeah.
Joe Concha said that's one big doll, yeah. Stoneham has since painted 3 sequels to the work featuring the same characters, which were floating around the internet for your viewing pleasure.
Or
And the name of the painting
So
is
you can
The
avoid them.
Hands Resist Him. So, I don't know.
They used to make. I don't know if they still do, but I had like a 3-foot doll when I was
Yes.
a kid.
Yeah,
The Raggedy Ann locked in the attic is over 3 feet.
really?
Mm-hmm.
That is
That's why it's in a plastic bag with the duct tape, so it never ever gets out.
Does it have 3 feet? Does it have 3 legs too?
Joe Concha wants to know, did anyone buy the painting? Yeah, they did.
I just imagine, Robin, like if you move someday and you leave that there, and someone is like, "Oh God!" Like it's all duct taped and in a plastic bag.
What did that doll do?
And then I find out later they were murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
Robin, I don't like the way you laugh when you say people are getting murdered.
Evil.
Ah.
Oh
my
boy.
goodness.
Okay, the next one is Okiku. And so if I'm mispronouncing it, I'm really sorry. But
Oh, you got it.
yeah, Okiku, the Japanese haunted doll. Okay. So in 1918, 17-year-old Ikichi Suzuki bought a doll for his sister Okiku. She quickly became attached to it, even christening it with her first name. Okay.
Oh,
Do we see? Yes.
yeah, there's a pattern.
Robert got Robert the doll. He named it after himself. Okiku got a doll. She named it after herself. What are we learning from this? Never name a doll after yourself.
Robin, what's your doll's name?
It's not Robin.
Raggedy.
Raggedy.
I like that raggedy. It's not Anne. It's raggedy.
Very raggedy.
First name Raggedy, last name Anne.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So she quickly became attached to it, even christening it with her first name. But sadly, she died a year later of an intense fever. The family built a memorial altar in her honor, placing Okiku, the doll, at the center of it. Shortly afterwards, the Suzukis noticed that Okiku's hair was growing. The doll's hair was growing.
I don't like that.
Believing that the spirit of their daughter had latched onto the toy, the family donated her to Japan's Meninji Temple, where she is still on display. Her hair is still growing.
Wow.
It is now 10 inches long.
Huh.
Raggedy Robin.
How long was the hair or we're seeing it with the long hair?
Yeah.
We're seeing it with the long hair, so I don't know how long it was to start with. But they're saying it keeps growing.
If it keeps growing, that's creepy enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is pretty creepy. None of us are going to sleep tonight. We're going to blame you, Joe.
Oh, well, here's one. You'll like this.
You'll love this one.
Maybe, have you ever heard of this, the crying boy?
Don't love that. I don't love that.
There are lots of variations of this crying boy, and it doesn't matter which crying boy you have. Just remember that.
Yeah, in my experience, a crying boy is never
Not a good thing.
never good.
You wouldn't have that on your wall, would you? Never.
No matter what age, right?
Yeah.
Right. The Crying Boy is a mass-produced print of a painting by Italian painter Giovanni Bragolin. This, he died in 1981. This was the pen name of the painter Bruno Amarillo. It was widely distributed from the 1950s onwards. There are numerous alternative versions, all portraits of tearful young boys or girls. In addition to being widely known, certain urban legends attribute a curse to the painting. On the 5th of September 1985, the British tabloid newspaper, The Sun, reported that an Essex firefighter, now actually this is true, claimed that undamaged copies of the painting were frequently found amidst the ruins of burned houses. So he was always finding this painting, not the same painting, but the same copies, because lots of copies had been made in houses that had burned down. And after a while, he was like, what is going on? By the end of November, belief in the painting's curse was widespread enough that the Sun was organizing mass bonfires of the paintings sent in by readers. So readers would read that, the houses were burning down that had this crying boy painting, and they all sent them into the newspaper going, yeah, you burned down.
They're like, that's enough for me.
That's enough. Here it comes. Steve Punt, a British writer and comedian, investigated the curse in an episode of the BBC radio called Punt PI, first aired on 9th of October 2010. The conclusion reached by the program following testing at the building research establishment is that prints were treated with a varnish containing fire retardant. And that the string holding the painting to the wall would be the first part to deteriorate, resulting in the painting landing face down on the floor in being undamaged by the fire. So there was a reason for that.
Ah.
I wonder why they even did that.
Why they were treated with fire retardant? I don't think the painter did that. I think whoever produced all the
Distributor.
paints did. Yeah.
Interesting.
hmm Yeah, it is crazy. So, but people still believe it and won't have that painting in their house. I think
I want to say
was
hi
all.
to George and Nadine Dismukes in Houston, Texas. They are with us, but they cannot comment for some reason.
Oh,
So I'll be relaying very funny comments every once in a while. I predict.
so any more comments or thoughts about any of those
What about
things?
Busby's?
Oh, Busby's, that's another curse thing. Not
Oh, okay.
but yeah, I'll read it. Maybe some of you know about it. I had heard about this before too.
Yeah.
I just don't know what I think about curses. I guess I do know what I think.
I curse.
Yeah, I think that you can curse something. Okay, the Busby stoop chair, or the dead man's chair, is an oak chair. You've got a picture of it?
I do. I already showed it.
Okay.
There it is again.
Right. It was supposedly cursed by the murderer Thomas Busby before his execution by hanging in 1702 in North Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. The chair is said to have remained in use for centuries at the Busby Stoop Inn near Thirsk. Due to the many deaths later attributed to people sitting in the chair, the landlord donated it to the Thirsk Museum in 1978. A furniture historian examined the chair and found it to have machine-turned spindles, whereas 18th century chairs were made using a pole lathe. He dated the chair to 1840, 138 years after Busby's execution. So they're saying it couldn't,
Possibly be, yeah.
couldn't be cursed by him. All right. Thomas Busby was arrested, tried, and condemned to death after he murdered his father-in-law, Daniel Audie, in 1702. Audie and Busby were running a coin counterfeiting business.
Fine, upstanding citizens.
As well as other criminal enterprises, and they argued about their business, which ended with Busby killing Audie. How shocking. Surprising, really. One variation of the story has Busby in the chair whilst on his way to his execution. I love the British way of saying whilst. Whereas another says that he was drunk in the chair when he was arrested and cursed it then. So he was hung at Sandhutton Crossroads beside an inn, which later had its name changed to the Busby Stoop Inn. The site of the execution opposite the pub on the A61 and A167 crossroads, now a roundabout, was said to be haunted by Busby's ghost. Locals claimed that during the Second World War, Canadian airmen from the nearby base went to the pub, and those who sat in the chair never returned from bombing missions. Okay, Paul Hollis has something to say.
Paul says you haven't mentioned Chucky yet, or the Toy Story creeps.
Yeah.
Hey, don't pick on the Toy Story.
I know.
They're still here. Maybe, seriously, Chucky may come from Robert the Doll.
Yeah, I heard that too. I read that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Robert the Doll, there's an awful lot of anecdotal things to say that that's probably haunted and not by a nice spirit. But believe me, if I had a Raggedy Ann doll running after me in my apartment,
Meeting you at the door.
Oh my God. I can't imagine that.
Well, you would think the first movement of the doll, and it would have been history. I mean, wait till it moves
first
up
time
and
it went-
down. Maybe when it does the dishes, it's time for it to go.
Oh, hey,
Well,
if it's
now
doing the
that might
dishes, it can stay. It can stay.
If it does the dishes.
It's
Yeah.
about Chucky. It says, while some have suggested Robert the Doll as an inspiration, the creator of Chucky, Don Mancini, has stated that My Buddy and Cabbage Patch Kids were the main influences.
Oh,
yeah.
Cabbage Patch
Yeah.
Kids.
So it wasn't Robert the Doll.
Joe Conjo wants to know, did Robert the boy have red hair?
I do not know. I don't think that was mentioned in anything that I read.
Now, is that Robert the doll supposed to resemble a human being? Because he doesn't.
Yeah, he looks like Curious George to me.
Yes.
Curious
Yes.
George.
He looks
Yeah, a
like
little
a
bit. Yeah.
he looks like a monkey.
He does, like a little monkey with a sailor hat.
You better
Yeah.
never visit Robert the Doll and say that, man.
No.
Oh,
Not happening.
George
I'm a little
just
worried
made
about
it.
saying it from here.
George.
Here I am.
Oh,
Came
okay.
from Facebook. Yay. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's been a great show.
No.
No. Just kidding.
My great aunt had a doll. I mean, it wasn't that big, but the face was similar to that, and it was probably about this big, and it was a little boy like that, but they had sailor suits like kind of like they did in World War II, and she had it. Somebody that she had dated had sent it to her that was overseas, and she had it in a glass case in there. And when I saw the face, it was the same kind of flat face, and it was very similar to that, but it was a small version of it.
Was it a stife?
I'm sorry.
Was it a stife? Was it made by the stife?
I honestly, I don't know.
I bet it was.
She told me that somebody had seen it one time and said it was worth a ton of money.
Then it was probably a stife. Yeah.
So,
They're
but
really
she said, I
expensive.
mean, I have no desire to get rid of it because, I don't know whatever happened to it. But yeah, when I saw that, I thought, well, I've seen kind of a miniature version of that, but I'm not aware of anything weird happening in her house or anything. So that one must not have been possessed.
She probably
Robert
didn't
was-
name it after herself and curse it all the time.
Yeah.
I think it did have a name of some type that came with it when she got it, but I don't know what it was or anything. But when I saw that, and it was made out of the cloth kind of, too, the cloth face and all that kind of stuff. So it might have been the same thing.
George says, sorry to be late. I was in a meeting. And and then Joe Conjo said, what about Megan the doll? Are those movies in?
Those new
Yes,
movies,
didn't buy any real haunted dolls. I think that they are influenced by all these stories that we've been talking about dolls for sure.
Is that the
You're
one like
gonna
the AI doll? Is that what that is? Is it like a robot? Is it Megan the one that's like a robotic doll, or am I thinking of the wrong thing?
No, you're thinking of the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it was an AI gone wild. Yeah. We've seen enough of those movies. We don't need to be doing this with AIs.
Yeah.
Beth, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to mention that Robert was created in 1904.
Ah,
Anyway, yeah.
It's just so weird because he there's nothing human about the face. Like I wouldn't even. I don't know. What would possess you to buy that thing?
right? Yeah.
Creepy.
If
It
you
is
look at it like a
creepy.
different angle, like in closer up, like you can see the hair and the ears, and it's a little bit like almost like a cartoon boy.
Okay.
When it's that
Yeah,
little
curious.
dog he's holding or whatever is
Oh,
the eyes popping out.
I think it's his hands that bother me the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're flat, right?
I didn't even notice.
We say that respectfully.
Yes.
yes. We think your hands are the cutest things, Robert. And I'm love your
Did you
sailor hat.
say?
I really do.
Picture than he is in
Your
person.
doll in the attic, Robin, may be listening to all this and saying, you know, I'm not taking this abuse. I'm going to show up tonight.
I had to put a chair under the doorknob to the attic.
Really.
I think the Kiku story is so sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sad.
Yeah.
She's not a creepy looking doll. She's a pretty doll.
Yeah.
She's a really beautiful doll, and it's so sweet that a brother bought it for his little sister, and then she died. That was sad.
Yeah.
Joe Gondel said, "Looks like he's wearing a sailor's outfit." Yeah, he is. Yep, that's what he's supposed to be—a little sailor. Which is
With
why.
his cute little dog.
The dog is really, there's nothing cute about that doll. Not the dog, not the kid, nothing. Like Robin said, he kind of looks like Curious George, the monkey.
In a good way.
You're not being real respectful there.
Respectfully. We love Curious George. Curious George is adorable.
This is the Steve from Germany of mine.
Oh.
It looks a lot cuter than Robert.
So, when you mentioned the Cabbage Patch, because because I was managing a Target store when those were out. Well, no, actually, it was a Zayre store, and people, would line up like 500 people, knowing you had 100 dolls, and then they would all bust in and fight over them. And where the heck did all those dolls go? Because there had got to be millions of them out there. Where did they go?
You have one of those.
I've never seen
Mexico.
one anywhere.
I have one in its box, keeping Raggedy, who's shall be
you do?
nameless, the rest of it company in the attic.
And
Not
maybe
wrapped up,
that's
though.
what everybody's hanging on to them, thinking, well, this is going to be really valuable one day. Well, there's a million of them out there, so I wouldn't hold on it for that reason.
There's a lot of them on the island in Mexico.
You mentioned it was when you were managing a Zayre's, right?
Yes.
We were Christmas shopping and we went into Zayre's, and this was before they were the thing to buy, right? And there was this whole big bin of,
It had just come out.
they had just come out, there was this whole big bin of Cabbage dolls. And I said, let's buy some of these for the girls. They're so cute. They were $15 each. Cheap, And of course, this was over 50 years ago, but it was a while ago. When they first came out, it was probably 40 years ago, Joy? Or,
Yeah, it was about 40.
Okay.
40.
And so I said, oh, these are so cute. They can adopt them. They fill out adoption papers. Oh, they love them. And he goes, these are the ugliest things I've ever seen. We are not going to buy them. So we didn't. So then what happened? They became the rage, and all of our girls had to have them. Do you think they still cost $15 then? No, they did not. Do you know how many
Like
daughters
twice
we had?
that. They were twice that.
Well, I was going to say, Joy, that I know for a fact that like 6 or 7 of them were in my laundry room before the storm hit because
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the kids didn't really have, they played with them for a while, but they were kind of like, beyond, because I had, we kind of passed them all to each other. Everybody.
We had a lot of Cabbage Patch dolls in our house. We had 5 daughters and a son, and he even had one.
Yeah.
My 3 boys did too.
Yeah. But unfortunately, they got wrecked in the storm. So.
Aw.
No, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Joe says, what about Hawaii? Don't they have possessed tiki dolls?
Do
That
you
would
mean,
make sense?
you mean the tiki,
Dolls.
not the dolls, but the tiki, what do you call those? Totems? Is that what you mean, Joe?
Joe, did you see that episode on the Brady Bunch?
Where they lost the doll in the ocean, that one? Yeah. George Dismuke says he looks like the model for Tickle Me Elmo.
Yeah, Robert the doll, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty sad looking for
Not
support.
sure what I mean.
Oh.
LOL.
I,
Yes.
he agrees with you.
I knew it.
Yeah. I think that don't the Hawaiians actually believe that those tikis are real? Those are gods, right? I think.
I think they're gods, yeah.
Yeah. I think they're gods. The totems
For like
are
protection and stuff.
yeah. Right? I'm trying to
Sounds right to me.
It depends on what we're referencing, because a lot of like tiki culture that we like think of in America is like not a Hawaiian thing at all. So
I know what
But-
he's talking about, though. There's all those totems that have their, just like the indigenous people here.
They represent deities, ancestors, or powerful beings and are associated with concepts like creation, good luck, and the connection between humans and the natural world. Originating from the Polynesian culture.
So, yes, because they believe that it is a connection between the human world and the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Timo says,
The
the
Tiki
Brady
Statues.
Bunch, LOL. That episode was a classic. I think we've all seen it and remember it.
I think we were watching that when we went to Zare's.
Yeah, that was a.
When we opened the doors for the first ad for that,
Uh-huh.
the registers were all up front. They were right by where the door is. We had to literally stand on the registers to not be run down. I mean, after I opened the doors, I just had to run back, and all my cashiers were standing on the registers, and they said, "Quick, up here!"
Insane.
I mean, like it was like there was a fire the opposite way.
Wow. Yeah, there were riots and everything, I think, in stores.
We could have had it before that happened, but
I'm just hearing about those, folks.
Never gonna live that one down.
Apparently not.
Dredge it up the past.
there are a lot of things in our family that we never let go of.
That happens to be one of them. Lucky me.
my favorite one is about the naked mole rats at Disney. Remember, Jess?
what about them?
Oh my God, they're huge.
That's not the naked mole rats at Disney. That
What
was when we were at the zoo.
Oh, okay.
And we were walking towards, it was like my husband, Adam, and I, and then like my parents. And then I think like Trish was there. I don't remember who all was there. Maybe Ken and Colleen. I don't know. There were a bunch of us there all together. So some of my siblings, mom and dad, my husband. And we were walking towards this giant tank that they had that had big koi fish in it. These very large koi fish, and they were swimming around, and the tank had like windows in the side that you could see them. And as we were walking up, there was a Scottish woman standing, or also like walking that way near us. And she said, "Oh, they're huge," with her like a very thick Scottish accent. And my husband started to laugh and extremely loudly goes, "Oh, they're huge," and did the accent. And we all
Disappeared.
away. And he was like,
Left him standing
and
alone.
I went up to him and I was like, "Why did you do that?" And he was
What
like,
is wrong with you?
"What?" And I was like, "That you just like mocked that woman." And he was like, "Your mom?" And I was like, "What?" He thought my mom was goofing around and said it in a funny voice.
Scottish
And
accent.
because we all like tease each other so much, he had like been like, "Ha ha," and like
He thought
fully-
this is my turn to be part of the clan. in mock
And we were
somebody.
all like, oh, why would you do that? Like, so, and he's oblivious, just like, ha ha ha. And I was like, don't, oh my God.
Couldn't find it.
So that's like something we all say to each other all the time. We'll just be like,
All
oh,
the
they're
time.
huge.
As a
Um,
matter of fact, your sister Susan and your dad and I took Amelia, our great granddaughter, to the zoo. And we get in there and we were looking at something, and Sue turned to me and she said, "Oh my God, they're huge." It's like it never ends.
It's so
Poor little
funny.
Amelia was like, "What is going on?" Oh,
Is this the doll?
Yes, it is. I didn't know if you could show that or not.
Well, do you have it on your computer? You can share screen.
No, it's on my phone.
Yeah, it's on my phone. I can.
Is it the doll from your school?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
that is creepy because they showed
It's-
me that picture.
it's really creepy.
I don't think it'll come through very.
That's my Lily, one of the teachers.
I
holding
Oh, is she holding the doll?
She's holding it.
holding
Yeah.
the doll.
Oh, yeah.
Hard
It's
to
hard to
see
see.
it.
It's hard to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, after
I'll
the
take
flood.
your word for it.
The flood
Here, this is a little better.
Oh. Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah, that is creepy.
the doll.
But
We
Like
were
It's a
cleaning
baby
stuff up.
doll.
Yeah, we were cleaning up
Oh.
after the
The hurricane.
hurricane and the flood and everything. And I had a pressure washer laying there, and I pulled the pressure washer back and up against the. Yeah,
That's so creepy.
oh,
and when I moved the pressure
Jiminy's.
washer, it was standing in the corner,
Standing up.
standing up, facing the corner.
Okay.
And it wasn't there before. And that's a place
No.
where
Uh-uh.
people no one can get
Children
to. There's
can't
like
get to.
walls around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That is creepy.
Wow, that is very creepy.
I hope you like got rid of it.
No, she took it home with her.
The one holding it.
Les found it a few weeks ago and brought it to school, and Lily took it home with her. And then she had all kinds of bad luck, and she's like, "I'm getting rid of that doll tonight." And I was like, "Don't bring it here. We don't want it."
Those are the kind of dolls you throw away and then you come back in the house and they're sitting there again.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's a scary me.
Wow.
I don't think we have this mirror that's like, well, we've had it for almost 50 years, and it was an antique when we bought it, and it doesn't have the original mirror because that had gone the way of the wind a long time ago, but the frame is original, and so it's probably 150 200 years old. And I always hoped it was haunted, but it never was.
I don't know. I look in there and I see an old man. I don't know. What the heck?
We've heard about our haunted mirror, didn't you?
No.
We have an antique mirror that my ex-husband had bought me. He's far gone, but the mirror, I love the mirror. So it was hanging in our bedroom, and he passed away. And after he passed, my ex, he kept visiting me. He would visit me at work. He would visit me at certain places. And one day we were just talking amongst friends, and I said, we were together in the room. And anyhow, I said, Bill's showing up in that mirror. And Les very quietly got up, went into the bedroom, took the mirror and removed it, put it in the other room with it facing the wall. He was like, never said a word to anyone. I was like, getting the mirror out of
I
there.
take care of this problem right now.
There you go.
What happened?
He's in that mirror. He ain't watching.
In the bedroom.
No.
Not the best place for your
Okay.
ex-husband to be.
No.
Sorry, Bob, you're going out of here.
Dead or alive.
Yeah.
Just not really good. Well, our mirror is not haunted. The frame is not haunted, and I'm really disappointed. It's the whole reason I bought it. Well, I like it too, but Yeah, I've never had any haunted objects that I know of. I don't think
And you've had a lot of antiques.
a lot of
Hey, there was
really
that
old
Simon
antiques.
game.
Oh, that's
It
right.
was haunted. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jesse. How could we
Do you guys
not,
remember the electronic game Simon? It's like a disc.
boop beep,
Right, it had the colors on it.
Yeah, red, green, yellow, blue buttons that would light up, and you had to follow the sequence, and it would get longer, you know,
Yeah.
So
more
it was in
complicated.
the closet in the two of the girls' room that shared a room together, and they complained because it kept going off at night, all by itself up in the closet. So you think, okay, it's a short in the game, right? So we took the battery out so that it couldn't go off in the middle of the night. It kept going off in the middle of the night.
Oh no.
Oh yes. So we took it out of their closet, right? And we brought it into ours because we're like, okay, we don't want the kids being bothered. We'll handle it. What's this?
Is this where you found the doll?
That's where we found it. Yeah,
Oh my
That's how-
goodness.
that's how
Okay.
it was.
Yeah, it's so creepy.
All right, hang on just a second. Let's so
Standing in the corner.
Just
Ah,
standing there.
Yeah.
Wow,
oh,
that is.
It's so disturbing.
yes.
Really disturbing on so many levels.
Wow.
It is.
Frankly, Joe, that would not be an object that's haunted by something good.
I don't even want this on my phone.
Now that you were talking about that Simon game,
Yeah, it kept going. We had to get rid of it.
We took
It
the
was-
batteries
that
out.
reminds me, because when my husband's mother passed away, she kept a collection of music boxes, and they were all wind up, of all for like long different. I mean, she'd been doing it for years and years and years, and Terry got one from the collection and brought it home, and we kept it on the dresser, and it started playing at odd times, but it was always when I was in there, and I would say, Terry, come here, come here, come here. By the time you get in there and stop.
Wow.
And one time, I mean, and it kept doing it, and and he said, it's just the winding thing, it's probably you're jiggling it or whatever. And I wound it all the way up, and and let it run down, and then tried to shake it and everything and show him, and I said, see, it's not. And he caught it one time when I called him, and he came in, and we removed it from our bedroom, and I don't even know where it is anyhow. It was freaking me out.
There's
But
also,
when you said that, I thought about it. Made me think about that. Those.
yeah, the clock. I was gonna say the same
Your
thing.
dad.
Yeah.
And
My
the
dad
and the clock. Well, is the other one a clock? I forget what it was. Yeah, it's 2 clocks, right?
It's the mantle clock.
The mantle clock, yeah.
And then the one that from Adam's grandparents.
Yeah. Well, the one from your dad. You
Right.
want to tell that story?
Yeah, my dad gave us this clock. He used to keep it running all the time. It was like a clock from, I don't know how old it is, but it's an old mantle clock, and
He loved
he
that
loved it.
clock.
He had his keys, and he'd wind it I guess every day.
Yeah.
And then he would take it and get it serviced over here in St. Pete.
Yeah.
When he lived in Orlando, he'd drive all the way over to St. Pete and drop it off, and the guy would go through and fix it. So he cared so much for it. He gave it to us, and I never wound it. Never did anything to it. It didn't run. I never did wind it once.
And then he passed away.
And then he passed away shortly after he gave it to us. And then we moved up to Ashburn.
Washington, D.C., yeah.
Up to Washington, D.C. And we had it packed in a box. And we heard it go off. It started, it would gong on the hours, whatever time it was. So 2 o'clock, it'd be twice, and so on all the way through. So it just started going off on its own in the box, packed. And
then we took it out of the box.
Took it out of the box.
And it didn't gong anymore.
Right.
And then Jessie was pregnant with her first child at that time and had a marathon labor of 2 days. And and actually my boss sent me home from work because he was tired of seeing me pace, waiting for a phone call. He said, go home and don't come back until you have a grandchild. And
53 hours later.
53 hours later, yeah.
Wow.
The clock chimed 12 times. It chimed to get out of the box, right? It got out of the box. Never chimed again. It chimed 12 times when Soren was born.
No,
Wow.
Yeah.
that's neat.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
see, those are good hauntings, Joe. That's
Yeah.
really a good haunting. That's his dad.
Yeah. And see, we could
It's
hear
in our
it.
kitchen now.
We could hear it in the box, and then we opened the box up, but we didn't take it out and left it there just to make sure that that was it. And the next hour, it chimed again. So then we took it out, and it didn't chime. It didn't chime again until
Soren
Soren
was
was
born
born.
and hasn't chimed since. If you hear it chiming now, it's going to be crazy. But
Yeah, I'm
similar
leaving.
things happened to Adam's grandfather. We got one of his little grandfather's clocks that he had made, and it hadn't chimed for ever. And then what happened to it, Jessie? Do you remember why it chimed?
Jumped off the shelf.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
that's right.
And then it chimed after we put it back up on the shelf. It jumped off the shelf all by itself.
It had
And-
never chimed
Wow.
before. Then it fell off, and
And Robin, that's Jessie's mother-in-law. Robin and Joel are Adam's
Different
parents.
Robin.
We're good friends of ours. Yeah, Joe Conjo said he was happy. Very cool. It was so cool.
yeah.
Well, and my son is also named after my dad.
Yes.
Like his middle name. He
Mhm.
has my dad's middle name. So I don't know. It's cool.
It is cool. Yeah, it meant. I think it did mean a lot to your grandfather, and he was a
Yeah.
wonderful person.
Oddly, also that's Adam's grandfather's name. So we were like,
Robert.
oh, we're naming it after. We're naming him after.
And that's the other
Two-
clock we have is after Papa Van Hooser. So yeah,
Yeah, I know. It's
Robert.
interesting.
I know.
Twofer.
Yeah.
I
And
have a-
Robin, who's the daughter of that grandfather, said, she said, well, I think Papa Van Hooser is here with the clock. We said, that's what we thought.
I had something happen with a clock. It wasn't like it wasn't anybody's clock. It was a stupid
Stupid. clock.
one of those old radio clocks, with the alarm on them and stuff. And when my mother-in-law passed away, I went to her funeral, and when I came back and came in the house, I walked into the bedroom, and the clock radio was set to WMMR, and it was going, but it was playing church music. And I'm
Wow.
like, that is so weird. So I went over and I tried to shut it off, and I couldn't shut it off. And I unplugged it, and there was still a few more, like it didn't completely, the music didn't die. And I just said, Tessie, please stop, because that was my mother-in-law, and it stopped. It was the most bizarre thing. It wasn't a haunting, really, because it wasn't a haunted thing. It was my stupid clock, my radio clock. But yeah, instead of MMR, it was playing. and not even like nice church that I would think was nice church music. It was sort of like haunting church music. And yeah, I couldn't get it to turn off until I asked her to stop. It was just bizarre. I think she was like saying goodbye, maybe.
Yeah,
Or
I
else
do
she was
too.
like, you divorced my son. We're gonna teach you a lesson.
Oh.
No, she was a nice lady, so I don't think she would do that.
Yeah.
At least
Were you too close?
we were. I mean, even after her son and I we were split up, I still would sometimes go down and visit her, and she always took the kids places, and yeah, we were close. So I think, and she was sad. She was sad that I wasn't around all the time anymore, and I liked visiting her. So I think, yeah, I don't think she was like mad at me. I think it was sort of like saying goodbye.
That's so very sweet. That really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to reiterate again, that's more like the kind of hauntings that we see as a team in Tampa
Yeah.
Bay Spirits are happy hauntings. They're not demonic and they're not evil. And I think sometimes people misinterpret things that are happening, thinking that it has to be evil or bad when it isn't, when it's just somebody trying to get your attention. They,
Right.
Yeah. have no other way to get your attention.
Right.
Don't even ask me why some of them can speak and some of them can't speak, because I have absolutely zero idea.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, so as you know, a lot of our team members are sensitives, or clairsentient, in which we can hear spirit, feel spirit, see spirit, that kind of thing. And we all get dreams, and it's crazy. And I sometimes, and I've said this before, I don't understand why I hear and see the things that I do. Some of them are so stupid. You're like, really, I needed to know this, because I don't know why I needed to know this. So last night I had a dream about elephants. I don't ever dream about elephants, by the way. And I woke up and I said to Rob, I dreamt about elephants last night. I said it was very strange. We turned on the news, and the first story, what do you think it was about? Elephant.
It's like, what?
Capybaras.
And I'm like, what are we doing here? And then we turned on another program, and guess what? One of the first things was on that program, elephants. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
what is going on? It was just elephant after elephant. I have no idea. If spirit's trying to tell me something, speak English, it's easier.
I don't like the elephant thing.
Is there an
We didn't-
elephant in the room?
That's what I was going to say. We didn't talk about the elephant. Phew.
Bada bing. That's just so crazy. And that's the way it works sometimes. I'm like, how helpful is this gift? Do I ever get the lottery numbers? No.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had counted the elephants, you would have
Oh,
gotten
Lord.
a number.
Yeah, I would have had a lot of numbers. I saw a lot of elephants today. How often do you see elephants on TV? That's like, never.
Well, if you're watching an elephant show, you do.
Yeah, I guess so, but we were not.
Dumbo.
Dumbo.
Dumbo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone past our hour and a half again.
A big surprise.
Yeah, big surprise.
Any more questions from the peanut gallery? If you're old enough, you'll understand that reference. Any more
They all gave
comments?
up and went to bed.
Yeah.
I don't think so. They're still here.
Oh, they're still here.
All
They
right.
just fell asleep. Dreaming about elephants.
So, yeah, objects I do believe can be haunted. I really do believe that.
Timo says at least they weren't pink elephants.
Exactly.
There you
No
go.
pink elephants. And no effalumps and woozles either, which would have been. But So I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I do think objects can definitely have a spirit attached to them. I don't understand why spirits are attached to certain things, but I think Gary, that you've all heard us talk about, I believe he's attached to that trunk at Maystringer.
It's not an elephant trunk either.
No, it's not an elephant
actual trunk.
Yeah. But you know,
We've never asked him, have we? We should ask him.
Yeah.
why?
Like, no, if he's, did you come here with the trunk? Like,
Oh,
is-
I did ask him the last time, and
did you?
It was kind of like a duh, kind of a
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, usually you can't hear the questions we're asking. So.
You're the one that said duh.
Oh, yeah, right.
Duh.
Speaking of duh, I was thinking you like were the one with the, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's Beth.
It is me.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the last time Kathy did it, I got nervous for her. I really did. I was about to tap her out when she tapped herself out because she was sweating.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy doing that Estes method.
No, it
It can
isn't.
get intense.
It can get very intense. Yeah.
I like doing it though, but it can get intense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because you're feeling all the feels, man. And when you were doing the Estes method in Texas, that
Yeah, that
jerk
was not a nice one.
there, yeah, he was such a jackass. And there was the little, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that, but yeah. You're lucky that's the worst thing I said tonight. That little boy that was so scared, and that he said he was in the dark and cold and stuff. And then to have that jerk,
Yeah.
being mean to everybody. Joe Conchel said, very interesting and creepiest show tonight. Thanks to all of you for a great joy. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Joe.
We did. Thanks, everyone. Another wonderful show. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you,
Paul
Paul.
Hollis said that.
So our
Yeah.
next show will be, we don't know yet, either the 24th or the 31st of July. One of those two, probably. But keep watching and follow us on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn, and you'll get invites to the show.
Timo von Sway said, I believe objects can be cursed as well. I'm writing a book series about a haunted amusement park.
Ooh, fun.
Is it
Yeah.
that haunted amusement park that's been featured on a lot of ghost shows on TV, ghost hunting shows? Because I
There's one
think
up
I
in
know
Ohio or something.
Is it Conneaut?
that's what I'm thinking of. With
I
that.
was thinking it was Conneaut.
Yeah,
No.
is it Conneaut? Because I do know I know that one, and it's definitely haunted. Marjorie Deering said, "Great show, and the storm even went around us." Hey, that's
Woohoo.
Marjorie. Is it a real amusement park, or is it a fictionalized book that you're writing? Timo said yes. Great show. Joe Conjal said, if it's the 24th, I'll be up in New York in Cooperstown for the Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony weekend. Woohoo! You never miss, do you, Joe? You go every year, right? Is your son going with you? So, Timo, is this the haunted amusement park? Is it a actual haunted amusement park that you're writing about, or is it a fictionalized story? And then get in touch with us, because we also do once a month. We're doing we used to do Meet the Author podcast every week, but now we're down to like once a month. Okay. Yes,
It's
yes,
fiction.
he is. Joe Conjal said his son's going with him. Awesome. You guys will have a great time. It's fictionalized.
Okay.
Well, let us know when your book's ready to come out, and we'll do a podcast with that on our Meet the Author podcast. Because that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
because we write ghost stories too.
Yeah. All right. Anybody got anything else? Before we.
Good show.
Yeah.
It was so
It
fun.
was fun.
So,
It was really fun.
Creepy. I'm probably going to have nightmares, but it's all right.
Well, then we've succeeded.
Yes.
Our work here is done.
There
Everybody
you
have
go.
a great 4th of July.
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody have a great 4th.
Okay.
Alrighty.
So
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching and
see you
listening.
next time.